I'm Evan Lazarus, Chief Knowledge Officer for T3Live.com. You don't become a great trader by watching videos and taking courses. You become a great trader through live screen time. Accelerate that learning curve by tapping into the experience of seasoned professionals. Currently, we're offering 5-day free trials to each of our 4 mentoring rooms. In the mentoring rooms, we teach our strategies in the context of the live market. To sign up for a free trial, go to the T3 Live education page, fill out the form, and get started when the next trading session begins. We hope to see you in one of our mentoring rooms.
Good morning. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com.
And I'm Brittany Umar, and together we bring you Morning Call. So we are seeing mixed markets around the world as our futures are up about 6 to 7 handles this morning after our markets bounced off their lows, prompting the question, is that the August correction what we just saw?
Well, I think at this point it's been a tradable range. I don't think you could say that was it, but we have some levels to look at to navigate. You know, if you look here at the chart of the SPX, you will see, you know, after the move that we started to see after, you know, the pullback from the May 22nd highs, it's been pretty powerful to the upside. We digested well, then we broke above 1698, and then as an active trader, we talked about taking a little bit of risk off right when we couldn't hold that area, which was right around here, right about like 1700 to make it even. From there, you had a 2-day decline. Some guys were able to catch a cute little trade, but you know, going into the 21 days, something we haven't seen in a while, it made sense to cover. I know that's what I did with, you know, with my spiders or so on. Anyway, from there, we're bouncing back up pre-market. So I would say that, you know, the bears, if they want to have hopes of lower prices, they shouldn't let the bulls reclaim this 1700 area. Close above this, and if you were short, you'd be a little bit worried. But if they could reject it, then maybe they get that, you know, right shoulder right here of that potential head and shoulders pattern that, you know, some of the bears are trying to say is building, which has a little, you know, I guess a little credence to it, but it needs a lot of work for that. But overall, very tradable, little short here. Some guys went long into this, you know, 21 day, and now you're getting your bounce. So I would just trim and trail and keep having, you know, some quick feet out there.
Well, perhaps contributing to the rise we're seeing in our futures is the strong trade data out of China that beat expectations. How much do you think that's factoring into this morning?
You know, psychologically, everyone wants to know what's going to happen with China. They talk about their debt levels and whether their GDP is decreasing. So I guess something positive helps. If you look at the FXI, you know, it hasn't been a leading indicator at all this year. The high was put back in the beginning of the year, the first month. Then you had a lower high, another lower high. It's in a downtrend. So the Chinese markets are not leading ours. And if you also go just say to Japan was up and then down, and it too is still in this big range that it's been maneuvering ever since putting in its top on May 22nd after a 50% plus run. So all in all, I just think, you know, it's August, the market's moving around. You have to figure out what type of time you want to commit to it and what time frame.
Right, and it's tradable, everything that we're seeing. During the 3-day pullback, there were stocks that held in well through reporting earnings, and one of the prime examples of that is LinkedIn. Positive earnings, had a big gap up on them, and has held in well since, was actually able to close on highs yesterday. So perhaps continuation today.
Yeah, and you know, for a different time frame, that it's very important because we've talked about this stock for the past 2 years. I just want to, you know, say something real quick that most high-flying stocks that can give you 2, 3, 4 times your money have very high valuations. And I know it's hard to trust a high PE or a lofty valuation, but typically if they're in a growth arena, you pay for it and then they grow into their valuation with earnings. And if you look here on LinkedIn, you know, you look at this pattern that we saw way back when, you know, where you had this cup and handle pattern and it was figuring out whether or not it would have earnings power. And then once it proved it could have earnings power right around here, it exploded. So if you were an investor that saw this cup and handle pattern, you might still be in it and you have a really nice return. You know, you could also be a trader and trading along the way. And right now along the way, if you're looking for just a trade, it now held its gap, so it's shown commitment. Nice little reversal yesterday. It pushed into the gap and held it. And now if we were to start getting above 235, it could be up for additional cash flow and get some continuation. But overall, LinkedIn has been firing on all cylinders.
Right, and like LinkedIn, Facebook has also been holding in great after positive earnings and a big gap up on them. What do you think about Facebook?
You know, very similar. This one took a little bit more time, and I had to get beat up a lot more because it took more time. But we talked about the potential in our 2013 thesis for this year, you know, to be 30-plus stock. So anyway, with that said, you look at this, And on every time frame, it's working pretty well. Here too, you have your cup and handle pattern where here's your cup, okay, coming into here. Sorry about that. And this one had a descending trend line or descending handle that went a little deeper than usual, and then boom, it gapped up on earnings, gapped up above resistance, and then held it, showing you commitment. And then for a shorter term time frame, you look at it here, you will see that you had a nice little trigger. What was that, about 35 to the upside? And now look at it, going sideways again, holding above the 8-day. So if this thing wants to see 40 plus, and you're in it for that, be in some. And then if it trades above 39.32, which is this prior peak, shorts are going to get squeezed, and you could see 40 sooner than later.
Even Apple has been acting well since earnings, has regained some momentum, and closed well off the lows yesterday.
Yeah, and this one, after multiple times where it's tried to bounce and it was short-lived, this one's being sustained a little bit longer. Ever since earnings, it's been a better trade, and that started right here. This was your gap up after earnings, your 3-day consolidation, buying right in this spot if you weren't long it into earnings because you were a little worried, which is fine. This is your spot for a swing trade to put it on. Then you could have added when it broke above this downtrend, and then it's been a nice move. And here too, flagging above the 8-day, showing some commitment, potentially to get some follow-through. I know it's going ex-dividend, so we'll see how it handles that. But overall, a lot to like during this multi-week move. So it's nice to have Apple back in the game, at least for a little while. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks.
Yes, and we are seeing continued strength out of some Chinese names. BIDU is actually among one of the first stocks to bounce off its lows yesterday. What does that tell you about the composure of BIDU?
I think even before earnings, I guess people kind of thought that it would be good, and it changed and started getting a little powerful. Then you had the earnings, it was a big gap up, gave you follow through, and now look, it's consolidating again. You look at BIDU, here was your gap up after earnings, okay, never filled it, and then here was a small little trigger when it went above the earnings high, which is why we talk about this consolidation for cash flow. And now holding again, holding the 8-day. Here's your mini area. So if you're looking for tactical ways to add cash flow, BIDU looks like it's in the stronger camp.
And SINA just had a big 4-day move, but is digesting a little bit, held above its 8-day. Again, another symbol of strength of the name.
Yes, and this one, I remember focusing on it, and it was a little sloppy months ago, but now finally it seems a little bit more clean. And I don't think it had earnings yet, so I could be wrong. So just look up that to make sure. But it also holding the 8-day. This was your clean breakout, above this little downtrend when it started to act much better. Here was some continuation, and now, it's showing some strength. There's talk about this being like the real big Twitter play in China. Okay, so we'll see what happens. But overall, it's on its way back. Look at the type of move it had back in its heyday. It's starting to clear some levels. So this is something to trim and trail, trade, just to make sure the composure stays the same. But when it moves fast, and that's what traders look for.
Well, if you're looking for a catch-up play, coming up, we're going to go in the trenches with some laggard stocks coming off the lows. But first, this quick commercial break.
I'm Mark Sperling, Director of Trading with T3 Trading Group and contributor to T3 Live. Do you trade on your own, but you wish you enjoyed the benefits of a large trading floor? With the T3 Live virtual trading floor, we deliver that experience to you on your computer. On the VTF, you can follow the long and short positions of experienced professional traders like myself, Scott Redler, and others, and listen to our live radio stations as we navigate the markets. In addition, you get the added value of a large community of sophisticated and like-minded traders. Your membership to the virtual trading floor also includes access to our 2 very popular newsletter products, Off the Charts and the Price Point Sheet at no additional cost. In my opinion, joining the room will be the best trading decision you will ever make. I would like to invite you to begin your membership with a 7-day free trial. To get started, visit t3live.com and click on the Virtual Trading Floor tab. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the VTF.
Well, if you're looking for a catch-up play, we're going in the trenches with laggard stocks coming off the lows. And for Microsoft, the 31 level has proven to be strong support there. Dip buyers stepped in around that level yesterday to lift the stock off its lows. How would you play Microsoft?
Well, I was one of those dip buyers yesterday because I saw it hold and I saw some volume in the afternoon. I said, you know what? I don't like the way it's been acting, but for a tactical cash flow trade, which is what you try and look for in August, here and there, look at the chart. Made sense, okay? First of all, here it was where it was before earnings, before it had that bad report. And again, we don't typically take stock into earnings, so we weren't part of this mess. From here, it's proved that there were some buyers where it previously broke out, held the 200-day, started to clear this into the highs, which the market did not close on the highs. So bought some, took it home, and now it was upgraded today. Next spot, I think, I think it could be maybe even reached today would be this 3260 area, and then perhaps the gap. So here, if you initiated in this support, it seems like it's in motion, and we'll see, what type of Microsoft we have over the next week. But so far, so good, especially for a day-and-a-half trade, if that's what you were looking for.
And Intel has been beaten up recently, but yesterday flashed some signs that there may be a change in sentiment.
Short change. But if you weren't part of it and you were looking for some exposure, this is, I don't like as much as Microsoft, because this really is fully tied to the PC arena. But anyway, you look at the chart here, and from the high here, look at this topping tail there. That was your sell signal. Then it came back up, engulfed, and then it's just been in a downtrend since. Last time you saw a red dog reversal, it was pretty short-lived, but it was a trade. And now this one wasn't really very potent. So I didn't go with this one, but you could trade it long versus 22.55 and see some kind of bounce. But I don't know the type of bounce it'll be, but it might be worth a few shekels in August.
Shekels. I like that term. All right, how about the ags? They have been under pressure for most of the year, but some of the names are getting a lift this morning. Let's take potash, which did hold up yesterday after perking up the day before. So does it look like to you that momentum will continue here?
It looks like we can get a trade. This stock used to be a darling. Every time I traded the ags years ago, let's go trade POT. And then, it's been in a downtrend, it's been somewhat in a void, and then you had that news a week ago about the cartel and no more control of the prices. I'm not going to get into it, but all you see here is a big gap down. So if you look at the chart and you weren't in this gap down, okay, you have the luxury of maybe buying it a little bit in the hole. Who knows? Maybe, they changed their stance. So I was thinking that, and I saw it green yesterday, so I did buy a little bit. Okay, so here's your little inside range. If it were to get above this 30.33 and hold above it, perhaps you get a move to see if it could trade into this gap, which starts here at 31.89. But overall, it's a very risky trade. Some people are going with options because risk is premium paid. I bought the stock yesterday, and I'll see how it acts today and to see how much time I want to stay with it.
Now, what about Mosaic, which has a similar chart pattern to potash? What are the key levels to watch there? Where's the trade? Okay,
well, look right here. I did not go with this one, but I think you could have. Similar, very tight green bar yesterday. If this were to get above 42 and stay above 42, then you have the start of the gap, which could be decent for cash flow. I know a lot of smart people out there have been talking about this. They like the fundamentals of this company and don't think it should be down here. For me, it was always a sloppy mess. But anyway, if you're not in that sloppy mess, here you go. Above this 42, maybe you get paid, I would say, bigger shekels.
All right, bigger shekels are always good. Let's do some quick hits here and talk the big story of the day, which is Tesla beat on earnings yesterday and sent the stock soaring after hours. How do we handle the open with Tesla today?
Well, it depends where you stand on it. If you're an investor and you've been holding it for, just say since last earnings before it, just stay with it. I think that it could trade around, and but ultimately this stock has a huge future. I love Elon Musk and I love the innovation, the entrepreneurship. But anyway, it's come a long way. So if you are in it and you're long term and you have a little bit more than you would like, you can always trim it into historic highs. If you were a trader after hours, we wrote down pivots. And typically when a stock gets over its 52-week high pivot and stays above it, it's tradable after hours, and some people did that. And if you did that, you look at the chart, that was right here. That's why we said 145.79, 146-ish, and that's why there was a battle there last night, because that's where the shorts did not want it to get above. And then it got above there, and now it's trading 155 to 160. A few months back, I talked about the price target of 140 to 160, I believe, when it was around here. So, I think, I don't know how much follow through, but when you have nothing to the left, you never know. So just trade a level versus a level. I did go with some calls towards the close. So for me, as an option guy with them expiring on Friday, I'm probably going to sell some right around the open and then see if there's any more follow through throughout the course of the day. And if you happen to try and be a cute short here, make sure it puts in a 30-minute high, and then you could trade short versus that. But if it breaks above it, just cover it and get out of the way. The short's been getting careened in this stock.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, how about YELP, which did show some constructive behavior yesterday, held above the earnings gap, and it's 8-day. So will this one be on your radar today?
Some guys asked for help in the YELP yesterday. And, if you look here, it did have a nice move. It just pulled back to, the 8-day moving average where it tried to go green. So at this point, looking like it's holding support. If it were to start getting back above 54-ish, maybe it heads back towards these highs. Ultimately, the stock has been acting really well. You look at the weekly chart, it's a new issue. It came public, it hasn't even been out for 2 years, and it shows you why you pay attention to new issues. They have thin floats. People don't respect them, and then that's where the big winners come from. And right above this area was a spot for investors to say it's consolidated long enough. Boom. So with that said, I'm sure the valuation is high, and I'm sure there's a lot of naysayers, so pick your side.
All right. Well, VMware has had a nice tight setup since earnings. It announced a 700 million share buyback. So could this ignite the stock, which has been digesting?
You would think so. I'm actually long in, and I've lost a little bit of money trading it in this range, but I took it home long because you look at the chart here. On a down day, it closed green right into this area. Big gap up after earnings, so some people were short and trapped. Some people looking to buy the dip didn't get one. So with this buyback showing that the company thinks their stock is cheap, perhaps it gets above this area, which is 84.77, to continue and perhaps close this gap from 2 quarters ago. So all in all, it seems like it's getting stronger and could be on the move. I'd love to see, I'd love to be able to add to it today for a clean move versus just it to open up and get a little choppy.
Now, how about if you want to go for a stock like Under Armour, which actually has a similar chart setup as VMware?
In retail, a lot of retail has been strong. You look at it, it could have went down yesterday. There was some, Ralph Lauren, a few other names were a little weaker. But anyway, this too, like you said, big gap up, start to clear it here. It hasn't really stretched yet, so maybe with the futures up, it'll get a little bit of momentum, but it's going to have to get above and stay above this 70.30 for that to take place.
All right, well, either way, there's lots to do out there. What will you be focusing on as you start the trading session today?
Well, 2 days ago I came in net short. Today I come in net long. I'll probably trim some near the open, but then I'll see what type of action we have today. And I'm just going to continue to have quick feet. And if the action warrants it, I'll stay active. If it doesn't, I'll do less. Again, it's August. You want to make sure you're not overcommitting, getting stressed out, over trading, getting yourself frustrated, because that's what people do usually in September. No. So again, at least when the sun's shining, go to the beach, go to the mountains, do things to make yourself happy. So you're in a position to get ahead when the time is right. But at this point, summer has been very pleasantly surprising. We're in July, really nice action. But here we are in August when not as many earnings, things died down, volume starts to dry up. So, take what you can get, and if you get pleasantly surprised with some type of good situation, go with it and be thankful.
And with that said, happy trading. Have a great day.